Since Ruben's here, I'm going to say this right off the start. If we don't play well, he hasn't been to the last few press conferences, and I am a little superstitious, so. Are we starting?
Yeah. Ready, guys?
Thanks for coming. Hopefully we're looking forward to our first afternoon game in a long, long time. Playing at 12:30 is a big concern. I don't know if it should be or not, but it's a big concern. Short week is a little bit of a concern. Since we're playing a triple option team, playing in a short week is a little bit of a concern too, but more so the afternoon game. I mean, we're so used to hanging out until late at night to play. It's going to be a shock to the system. And then it's supposed to be warm. I guess it's supposed to be near 90 degrees, and you don't expect that this time of year. So there's some things that are concerning. Most important, the most concerning thing is that the kind of offense that New Mexico runs, you don't see very often. It takes a long time to get ready for that kind of offense.
Is what they're running more difficult than what Air Force runs? Or?
It's not more difficult. It's different. And I don't know how. I'll try to explain it. Air Force and Army and Navy all run what's called veer triple option. In other words, they leave a guy on the line of scrimmage around where the offensive tackle is, and that's their first key. And then the outside guy outside of a tackle is their next key, and so forth and so on. New Mexico runs a zone triple option, which means the first guy they read is outside the tackle. And Air Force reads the first guy outside the guard normally as their first key in the triple option. I think the zone read's easier because a lot of teams that are playing spread offense, they run a zone read. The quarterbacks run a zone read. So it's easier on the quarterback. The way New Mexico runs it, it's easier on the quarterback.
Usually it's like triple options. It's all about, stopping the dive. Usually it's like a fullback. It's like a big bruising back, running that first read. But in Mexico, their guy, he's like a little scat back.
Yeah, he's just like a spread running back. Because the spread teams run zone, and that's all they're doing is running zone with him, but they're reading the end man on the line of scrimmage to see if he closes with the running back or not. If he doesn't close with the running back, they hand it to him. Now, they have some other options where they just fake it to him and they get the quarterback outside with the ball and block for the quarterback too, but so does the veer offense has that same thing too.
What do you think about just like a little guy like that just zooming right up the middle and he'll get past him?
That's what I'm saying. It's no different than a guy does in the spread. Yeah. And a lot of those spread running backs are little guys too. They're just looking for a seam or a gap. They don't have to run over anybody. Yeah.
Jordan and Owens pretty explosive if they find space?
Yeah, they've got 3 or 4 guys that are very, very explosive. If you give them room, they can take it the distance.
What do you think? Their quarterback, he's a senior. He's experienced in their system and everything. Just what do you think of him as a decision maker and how he's able to run it?
I think he's a good option quarterback. He reads it well. He doesn't make many mistakes. And then if you let him carry the ball, he can take it the distance. Last week he took a couple long runs where they didn't take the quarterback properly, and he planted his foot in the ground and went 40 or 50 yards for a touchdown.
Are you surprised Bob's having such a bad season, considering how he had been building this thing?
I think that everybody's on, except for the great teams in the country, every team is on the edge of having a bad year. You lose the wrong guy or you have too many injuries in certain positions, all of a sudden a good football team is now not a good football team anymore. And there's a momentum issue too. If you start a winning streak, it's easier to win. If you start losing, guess what? It's easier to lose.
You're playing not only for your seniors to win their final home game, but you're playing for a later bowl game, you're playing for a 10-win season. Essentially, their primary, what they're playing for is for their 19 seniors to go out with a win. How dangerous is that for?
I think the most dangerous teams are the teams that get to play just for fun, because that's the fundamental issue. They all started playing the game because it was fun, It's all of us that try to make it more important than it is. And it's all of us that try to make it winning as the most important thing of playing sports. It's all of us that do that. Kids play for the fun of the game, and guess what? Their team is getting ready to play for the fun of the game. A team that plays for the fun, that they're a very dangerous football team. They can play loose, relaxed, aggressive, and don't worry about any of the consequences. It's all us that make it important. It's too bad. It's a lot more fun when it's just for the fun of the game.
Want to be just for fun in a lot of ways for you guys too?
No, I think we feel pressure. I think because of the success of the program, I think our players feel pressure to win 10 games, double-digit games. I think our team is disappointed we're not in the championship game. I think there's all kinds of mental issue our team is going through right now, as opposed to theirs.
You look back at the game Saturday night, were you, I don't want to say wrong, you said that there was no way the Fresno State result would have any effect on your team Saturday night. You would keep that separate. Looking back at the game, did that kind of have an effect on the way you played early?
I don't have any idea. I think I said I'm going to ignore it. And I did ignore it. Whether they ignored it or not, I would bet you they didn't. I would bet you they knew the score, and I bet you they were disappointed going into last week's game. Now, how much it affected their play, I don't know.
Did you give a little fire and brimstone at halftime, or was it pretty normal? Because, I mean, the first half was I mean, on the sidelines, it was a lot quieter than it had been throughout the year.
Yeah, and they were better after halftime? Were they? I guess they took the coaching then.
With the short week, basically just the practice schedule, you bumped everything up a day. I'm assuming.
Yeah, that's what we did. I mean, we practice on Sunday. We never practice on Sunday. I mean, it was a shortened practice. It was with no pads, but we went Sunday just to try to get them started. And then yesterday was like Tuesday, and today's like Wednesday, and so forth and so on.
What are your thoughts on how the scout team is doing, like how your defense is looking against
The scout team never shows you the look you need to see, especially when it's triple option. I mean, I think the scout team even hurt us. It's not their fault. The scout team even hurt us last week. Our guys got so used to 2 straight weeks of covering guys that don't run very fast, and all of a sudden they get in a game and they're against guys that run really fast. You know, it took them a while to get adjusted to that.
So who's your scout team quarterback trying to play logo?
We're using the same ones we always do. Now that sounds, they've never run the triple option, but they're both spread quarterbacks, which means they've run the zone read and they've carried the ball themselves. So it's really not a bad look. The only bad look is they don't pitch it very well. So we're not always sure we have a guy on the pitch. But the actual zone read, they're good at that, and them carrying it themselves, they're really good at that too. So those quarterbacks give us a pretty good look.
Rocky, can you talk about what's happened nationwide in terms of lack of respect for Petty? Because it's kind of stunning that he's not on those lists.
I think it's ridiculous. But I think that's, I mean, I talk about this all the time and nobody really wants to hear it, but I'm going to say it again. The financial and resource gap between the Power 5 school and us is ridiculous. Absolutely ridiculous. And it gets bigger every year. They're trying to exclude us. They're trying to eliminate us. They're trying to make us a different division than them, is exactly what's going on. So the people that are with them are going to make sure that the non-Power 5 guys don't get any recognition if they can, unless they can help it, or unless they make a mistake. They're going to make sure the non-Power 5 gets no recognition. That's very disappointing, and it's upsetting. I'm really disappointed for our team and for Rashad, but it's not surprising. It just gets worse every year. It's not surprising at all.
guys all pay the same dues to the NCAA. How is that allowed to go on?
I have no idea. I mean, you're asking for things I have no expertise on. And what I just said, I have no facts to back that up, but I'm willing to stand on the table and tell you that's the way it is.
Do you have any thought about perhaps shedding a few tears and crying today while talking about Rashad Penny to make sure you might get a clip on ESPN?
No. I hope what it does to our team is make us mad. And I hope it makes Rashad mad, too. Then we got no problems on Saturday.
Have you heard some of the
Or Friday. See, but it's Saturday to us.
Yes.
Yeah.
Have you heard some of the pushback just around the program, just about people just not happy with Penny?
Well, I think anybody that follows our program thinks it's not right.
Yeah.
I think anybody, but not many people nationally follow our program.
When you first brought him here, and he's turned out to be a generational player, what did you think he was going to be like, and what surprised you the most about what Rashad has accomplished?
Well, when you recruit those guys, all you're doing is hoping they're going to turn into great players. When you recruit them, they're very, very good high school players. Some of them are great high school players. Some of them develop into great college players, and some of them don't. So I think you're always surprised when one turns into not a good college football player, a great college football player. Because you don't see that when you recruit them. You don't think that's going to happen. You don't expect it to happen. And then all of a sudden it does happen. The most surprising thing about him is how versatile he is. I mean, take all those other guys that are up for those awards. Any of them return punts for touchdowns? Look at all those guys again. Did any of them return kickoffs for touchdowns? I don't think so. Any of them catch it any better than he does? I don't think so. We even tried to let him throw a touchdown pass the other day. I wish those guys wouldn't have covered that guy, because then you'd have saw he can throw it too. That would have put him over the edge, right? If he'd have completed a touchdown pass, maybe so. I imagine if we put him on defense and put him at safety, I bet you he can run people down and tackle them too. I'll bet you that's true. It's too bad. That's the way the world is.
The awards voters may snub San Diego State, but if I remember correctly, back in the 1990s, the National Football League draft folks didn't snub Marshall Faulk. If by chance Rashad is taken in the first round, do you think that's going to get San Diego State some respect or not?
I don't think that'll change anything. And the difference between when Marshall came out and Rashad coming out is that running backs were first-round draft choices in those days. Running backs are no longer first-round draft choices anymore because people are throwing the ball a lot more. So running backs are second and third-round draft choices. Very few running backs are taken. One last year was taken in the first round, I think. One running back was taken last year. I don't think that. I don't think that'll change the way the country views us. No.
Was there a moment a couple years ago? Was there a moment a couple years ago when something he did made you think this guy's special?
Well, I think last year he did a lot of things that made us realize he was special. I mean, the one everybody else sees is kickoff returns. You know, if a guy's really good at kickoff returns, those are hard seams to find most of the time. Well, that also proves to you that he can find a hole at the line of scrimmage too. And then when he gets out in the open, he outruns everybody. I don't know how fast he is. I just know he's faster than everybody chasing him. I mean, there's no telling how fast he is. Maybe he only runs as fast as he has to run. I don't know.
When you were watching the punt return and the ball was in the air, were you thinking, oh, he should just fair catch it?
No, I wasn't thinking that.
Okay. He's just that
But I was as surprised as everybody else that he took it back for a touchdown. I mean, that's the first one he's ever done in a game. First one he's ever done in a game. And in practice, we don't let anybody hit him, so you don't know. You never saw it in practice either because we don't let anybody touch him in practice.
Will he return punts this week?
Yep. Not all the time.
Well, it'd be great if you return a punt or a kickoff for a touchdown or even an interception, but that puts the defense back on the field again. So would you call that a tribute to your defense, that they can withstand being on the field for two consecutive possessions?
That's a great question. Anytime you can score, it's worth whatever happens. Okay, anytime you can score, it's worth whatever happens to the defense. Okay, we didn't play very well on defense last week in the first half, and we played more plays on defense last week than we have all season long because of those two plays. You know, when our offense has the ball, the clock runs, and the defense is not out there. But you never turn down a touchdown, no matter how many times it makes the defense play.
A year ago this week, we asked you to compare Pumphrey to somebody else. You said Joe Washington. Who would you compare Penny to? Bigger version of Falk? Is he Herschel?
I didn't get to. I saw Marshall play a little bit on film. I didn't actually see Marshall play in person, so I don't know if they compare or not. I mean, let me try to think. See if I can pick out one that reminds me of Rashad. Jim Brown. You're old enough to know who that is. Our players don't know who Jim Brown is. I think he's very comparable to Jim Brown. Jim Brown was maybe an inch taller. They're about the same weight. Jim Brown ran just fast enough to outrun him. He could make him miss. He could run over him. Now, he won't get to carry the ball that much in the NFL. In those days, Jim Brown carried the ball about 30 times a game in the NFL. Running backs now carried about 12 to 15 times a game in the NFL.
Did you want to see him go to Cleveland?
I just want to see him get his due somewhere along the way, and I think he will next year. It'll be in a paycheck, but he'll get his due.
Something is still very realistic, I mean, because we keep trying to figure out a way to promote Rashad, and we know that nobody's going to buy it, or people aren't going to listen, but one thing your program's done is built the reputation that you're going to be a great running team, and you do have a chance to get back-to-back 2,000-yard rushers, which has never happened before in NCAA football. And it seems to me that if you accomplish that, that just is something that you can kind of throw out there to say, hey, yes, this is what we are, and hopefully it'll help you continue to recruit great running backs, great offensive linemen. Is there something to that?
I think Rashad has a good chance to get 2,000 yards, but I don't think it will change our recruiting one bit because the running backs out there that want to be in this kind of offense already know. It doesn't matter how many yards he gets. They already know that we have great running backs around here, and we run an offense that they get the ball a lot with a fullback in front of them. So that's why we've been able to recruit the running backs we have over the last 5 or 6 years. We've had 4 or 5 really good running backs right in a row. And in those 4 or 5, the backups have been pretty good too. So that I don't think it'll help us get any better guys than we've been getting.
Maybe the running backs don't carry the ball as much in the NFL, but sometimes they'll act as that 4th, 5th receiver, and having somebody like DJ or like Rashad who can catch the ball too, you think that raises their stock as opposed to the ones who just outright running backs?
I think DJ got a chance because they could see him playing some other spots rather than running back like slot and those kind of things. Rashad's going to be a running back. And now he can catch it out of the backfield, but they won't put him in motion and put him out in the slot or anything. But they'll slip him out of the backfield. They'll throw screens to him and that kind of stuff. The way the NFL is using running backs now is not even close to how they used them 10 years ago. And most of the NFL teams are going to the spread. So hopefully Rashad gets into a system that still uses a fullback. I'm not sure Rashad is effective in the spread where you run sideways. Rashad's really effective when he runs toward the line of scrimmage.
Rocky, I got a personal question. All the things you did in New Mexico as a player and a coach, and then what you did with them as the head coach, tinge of sadness or an ache that you left or had to leave, or just the way it ended up after all the things you did in Alabama?
No, that's ancient history. I don't even think about it. The first couple of years after I left there, I thought about it because the players in the program were players I recruited. But that's a long time ago now. I do have a couple best friends that were offensive linemen I played with that still live there. I miss them.
Anything else for Coach?
Coach, we get to talk to Trey Lomax in a couple minutes. What kind of person is he on and off the field?
I don't know very much about him being off the field, other than he's never been in trouble. That's a good sign. On the field, and he comes from a real good family, real good upbringing. He's one of those guys that's a very, very good college football player because he understands the game and he plays it the right way. He uses good technique and all those sort of things. He'll tackle you. He'll be in the right spot at the right time. He's a guy you can count on. You can count on him on and off the field. You can count on him in the classroom. He's already graduated. You can count on all those things. The difference between him and an NFL football player is he's not very tall and he's not very fast. But he's a really, really good college football player.